Hi, it's Cara Brown, and this is Watercolor Conversations. It's a place where I share my love of watercolor and my seeking, my teaching, my discoveries, the connections I see, and just in general what it's like to be alive at this time here on planet Earth. I hope that this meets a part of you that's longing to be met. Thanks for being here. Now that we've been through the series that I teach called Watercolor Basics and Beyond, I want to step into the world of color again, which is exactly what I recommend for students who have just finished that series, is they take my color too. So I'm going to share with you some of the ideas from that workshop so that we can take a dive back into color with a little bit more experience. When I began painting in watercolor back in 1992, I collected tubes of paint based on recommendations by teachers or art instruction books. And when I went to the art store, I bought things that looked appealing. My first inventory, the exercise that I recommend in the first episode in the series on color, had 61 different tubes of paint in it. I still don't limit myself too much. My Magello Fusion palette has 33 wells in it, and every single one of them has paint in it that I mostly use. But somewhere along the way, the idea came to me, or I encountered it somewhere, to limit myself in a painting to a specific number, very few sometimes, of tubes of paint. I have done paintings with 6. I've done a painting with 4. And I've done a painting with just 3 paints. It's got a lot of black in it, and even the black is mixed. And that's phthalo blue, Hansa yellow medium, and quinacridone rose. Those are all Daniel Smith. What I read is that limiting colors would provide cohesiveness and harmony to a painting. And what I've learned since is that working with a very limited number of paints offers not only the opportunity to practice and to get really good at mixing color and to seeing color in a color, like to see the orange in a brown and also see the blue in a brown, or to see the purple in a chocolate brown. It also offers a certain freedom. When you need to mix another color, if you're only working with a very few, you know you need to find it amongst those, as long as the combination of colors that you've chosen are going to produce the colors that you need, which is another whole idea. Before we go any further, though, I want to step back a little bit, all the way to grade school, where we were all taught that the primary colors were red, yellow, and blue. They're primary because they can't be made by mixing any other colors. I was thinking about all of this stuff. I realized that just about every inkjet printer on the planet, at least the most basic ones, has 3 colors plus black. And that's cyan, magenta, and yellow. Cyan being kind of a greenish blue, magenta a slightly violet red, and yellow. What I realized blew my mind, and that you can make red. Red can be mixed by adding a little bit of yellow to magenta. And blue, like a classic blue, like blue jean blue or just a blue, can be made by adding a tiny bit of magenta to cyan. I mean, who knew? So it turns out that really the only primary color is yellow. And if you use a cyan-colored paint that is dark in its concentrated form, like phthalocyanine blue, as opposed to, say, cerulean blue or manganese blue hue, which is a Daniel Smith paint that I love to work with, it's possible to make nearly any color you can conceive of with just these 3, including that black. In case you're wondering why printers also include black in their inkjet sets, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm guessing it has to do with the limitations of how much ink can be sprayed onto the paper, making black necessary for dark darks. So here's an example of how these three colors can be used to mix another. I'll give you a couple examples. First step in mixing an olive green is green. You got to mix yellow and blue. Probably a little more yellow than for some other greens. There's a lot of yellow in an olive green. But no matter how much more blue or how much more yellow, you're not going to make it olive. So what must you need? You need some red. Add some red in and you watch it turn towards that olive color. Likewise, if you want to make brown, brown reads mostly to me as orange. So I will start with yellow and magenta, red. And again, no matter how much more yellow or how much more magenta, I'm never going to get it to go to brown. So I must need blue. It's by doing this that you can start to see the blue in the brown and the red in the green. It's how you can make a straw color, which is a really tricky color. It needs to have a little bit of blue. It's yellow with some amount of, I find the most useful is a blue-violet. So a bluish purple added to yellow in a little teeny bit with a lot of water. You need a lot of water for straw because it's not an intense color mostly. And then you can make straw with just those three colors. It's quite amazing and mind-blowing to know that you can do this, that you can mix all these colors with just three. Amazing. And there's no way to build your abilities to see and mix color unless you spend time mixing color. I offer a little exercise in my Color 2 workshop, is to invent colors in your head and attempt to mix them. So this is a little bit of a creativity thing too. You can try to mix black, a neutral gray, a blue gray, a green gray, a violet gray, a gray tan, a yellow brown, a straw gold. I just told you about how to do straw gold. A pine green, pumpkin orange, terracotta. What would you do to mix terracotta? Sepia. What is sepia to you? Navy blue, maroon, red wine, chocolate brown, sky blue. There's a little trick here too, and that is when you're mixing with watercolor, water is the white. It's how we stretch out our color so that more of the paper can shine through, and that's how you add white to your color mixtures, is more water. So give it a go. Play with this. See if you can take those three colors, and again, they are phthalocyanine blue. It also goes by Winsor blue for the Winsor Newton people, and either quinacridone rose or even some version of PR122, if you happen to know that. Helios purple in Sennelier and Daniel Smith. It's called quinacridone lilac, and a middle-of-the-road yellow. So a yellow that doesn't lean too towards green like lemon yellow or Hansa yellow light, and a yellow that isn't orange. A middle-of-the-road yellow. My favorite is PY97 Hansa yellow medium. Try using those three colors and those three paints, mix those terms up. Try using those three paints in their colors to mix a whole range of colors and see if you can blow your own mind. It's amazing. As far as I can see, the way we mix color is sort of threefold. We can either use it straight from the palette and go right onto the paper and any mixing happens on the paper, or we can mix on the palette. I call people who do this like me mixers. I'm definitely a mixer. I try to get the color I'm looking for right on my palette. And then there are layerers. That's where you put a color down, you let it dry, you put another color down, and the color builds based on thin layers of paint. That way it takes a lot of patience. How it happens in practice for me, though, is really that it's kind of a combination of all those three, but especially mixing and layering. I will attempt to mix the color that I think I need. I will paint it on, it will dry, and it will need something else. It will either need more intense. This is watercolor. It lightens and gets more dull as it dries, or it needs a shift. And I've come to see that, quote unquote, missing the mark on color in the first go is actually a gift, because what it means is that we have to layer other things over and we get more interesting and rich paintings. Our color story for our paintings builds as we paint and then decide what to do next, just like every other aspect. And limiting the palette can really grow you as a paint mixer, as a color seer, and it can also give you a certain sense of freedom if you choose to do that. All right, I think that's what I have to say today about this second round of color. And where we are going to go next is to putting the whole thing together with composition. I thank you for listening. I'm so glad you're painting. Until the next time, bye-bye.